Don't forget to press record.
The record's already going, already checked. Scott, is there any specific thing that you want to go through as far as any format, or just let it hang on for you and let you do what you want to do?
Whatever. If you need me, I'm here.
Yeah, you're open, because I'd like to see this go quite well for to start up a tradition here. This would be good. All right. There's that. All right. I think we are just about set. Let me get the overlay up, and we can rock and roll. Yay, good. If my voice will hold up. All right, here we go. Hey, folks, sit back, relax, get your favorite libation, your favorite snack. The Geocaching Podcast is coming at you right about now.
You want to know how to find it. Seek it out when they hide it. You know it's in the bag when it's an easy grab. But come on, take a chance now. Go, geocache. And if you need help, we're right there in a flash. If you got a question, just call in and ask. Uncover the stash on the Geocaching Podcast. The Geocaching Podcast.
Welcome to the Geocaching Podcast, episode 519, recorded live on December 6th, 2017. I'm your host, Headhardhat with
Scott Berks,
Taz 427, and
Info Ferret.
You can join our chat room and watch our live video stream, plus participate with us as we record this episode. All this and more can be found at www.geocachingpodcast.com/live. Be sure to contact us via our voicemail line at 630-31-VOICE. Also find us on Twitter at geocachingpodcast.com/Twitter and Facebook at geocachingpodcast.com/Facebook. This episode is sponsored by our good patrons of the Geocaching Podcast. To become a contributing patron, simply click on our Patreon logo or PayPal logo on our website to help keep our podcast going. From all of us at the Geocaching Podcast, we thank you. Well, we are here. It is December, and in North Kakalaki in Raleigh, as we speak, it is sleeting. I don't know. Yeah, hell has frozen over, and life is over as we know it. And I may actually have to put a winter-like coat on because we're supposed to get, dare I say it, some snow tomorrow.
We're supposed to get snow. We're not even getting snow tomorrow.
Oh, it's going to probably be flurries and there'll be traffic jams and people in a panic. I can guarantee you go to any grocery store and the French toast parties are well stacked.
French toast parties, sure.
Yeah, milk, eggs, and bread are gone. You can just see it. I just didn't have a good enough time to run to the grocery store and take some pictures. But other than that, it's crazy. But other than that, yeah, not too much. It's I've been doing a lot of extra work at my place and haven't had too much chance to go out geocaching, but it has definitely been wet and cold here in the eastern part of the country. Scott, how about yourself?
It's been cold. It's been pretty cold here. It was a nice heat wave, and it's definitely over now. So it's a little cold out, but it's been crazy busy here. You know, we're gathering. I'm trying to get ready for geocaching day, and I've got my kid's bar mitzvah coming up in less than a month away now.
Wow.
January 6th. Well, actually a month, January 6th, 30 days. So I'm trying to get everything prepared for that, and just crazy, you know. So
Keep going. Scott or Chad, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. Didn't get out to geocache. I was planning on doing some Sunday, but the wife had me doing yard work on Saturday, including trimming trees and raking leaves and stuff. And after several hours of that, my back said, you know, you got to take a break.
Love them honey-do lists.
Yeah.
Oh, well, just to make you guys all jealous.
Oh, here it
we
comes.
Have beautiful sun, long days. It's a time of year when cherries are out in the shop. So it's getting close to Christmas. So I really enjoy eating cherries.
Me too.
Are you telling me that cherries are running rampant in New Zealand?
Well, they're grown and harvested around Riwaka near Nelson, so it's that time of year.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, and we got while the boys were doing crazy mad things like a 6-hour adventure race up near a place called Belmont Bunkers, I went up there, had a bit of a mooch, picked up about a dozen caches in a loop around the area.
Yeah, I was going to pick up on that.
What's a bit of a mooch mean?
A mooch is a sort of stroll, a wander.
Wow, okay.
Anyway,
I've never heard of that before.
Picked up a dozen or so caches. I added a new hint to one of the logs on one of the ones up there, which read, "Fortunately, it was close to, but not under the 2 dead sheep."
Oh,
That's something you don't usually see in your logs.
Dead
Not
sheep?
normally.
No, a deer,
No.
not sheep.
Deer, yeah, I could do whole carcasses. There's a whole thing.
It's sort of a country park area. Well, not when I say country park, you'll get the wrong idea. It's a open regional park area. It's way up in the hills, and it's called Belmont Bunkers because the area was used as a munitions store in the Second World War, and they sort of apparently laid out all the storage areas in bunkers and planned it so that they looked apparently like chicken coops from the air to fool any overflying Japanese planes that there might have been.
So where do the sheep come in? That's got to be asked.
It's open farmland, and what they tend to run on there mainly is sheep because they can sort of generally look after themselves. There's a few cattle around, but nowhere near as many as the sheep.
Somehow there's got to be a tie-in between cherries and sheep. I don't know how to put it together right.
Very
I'm sure the sheep would eat the cherries if they could get hold of them. Like sheep will eat anything.
Very independent.
All right. So good stuff. That sounds excellent, though. I mean, you suck because of the weather.
Oh, come over here and try it out. It's actually getting a bit dry, and we're having the summer we didn't get last year. So it's lovely and hot, scorching hot, but there's been no rain, and they're starting to talk about water restrictions.
Well, yeah, you get a couple of Mount Dooms going off and things like that. The volcanic activity is going to wear it down a bit, I can imagine.
Right.
Hey, it's
that
you
and the
guys with
walking
the wildfires.
Yeah, well, that's just normal.
Walking sheep.
Let's build a whole bunch of houses, Chad, in an area that has had consistently for the past 200 years of being a burn area. And let's build a couple of subdivisions in there and see what happens.
Right, we still have California wildfires going on at this time of year.
Yeah.
Southern California
is burning to the ground.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who'd have thunk? And
over here, so
can't they just become an island already? Just make yourself an island.
Somebody shake hard enough and let that peep just pop off, and it'll be fine.
And it'll be done. It'll be like Hawaii.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, and just not as long of a plane ride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll get oceanfront property.
Exactly.
Oceanfront property.
It's good for everybody.
You'll be an islander. Then hamburgers will be $20.
Tsunami alert.
Yeah, that too. All right, let's move on to the podcast roundup, letting our viewers know what's going on in the geocaching podcasting community. And what's coming up this week on Geo Gearheads is episode 310, Munsey and More. Coach V or Coach 5. I'm not quite sure, but it's spelled Coach V, is back to talk about some of the news at Munsey since his last appearance. Let's see. If you would be so kind as to consider becoming a patron for our show, we'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. Just go over to our website at geocachingpodcast.com and click on either our PayPal or our Patreon logos. And if you can throw us a couple of bucks each month, we would really, really appreciate it. All right, good stuff. Let's.
What about your show, Andy?
I love it when Scott puts me on the spot like that as I'm trying to skirt by.
You thought you'd get by, but
you see those 3 famous letters up there.
TBD, baby. It's one of those things. The job that I have, and it's not excuse, it's just an excuse.
We're all busy.
The job that I'm at takes up to 2 hours each way to get to work.
Oh, crap.
That's 2 hours you can be working on a show. What are you talking about?
You're trying to save your life on the road.
Just driving in a car, man.
A full-time thing. You can't flinch without, what was that spot over there, George? How are you, man? So yeah, it's terrible. And I've been doing overtime, so I just really haven't had the time.
Oh,
Fair enough.
okay. So what are you gonna do tomorrow?
Tomorrow? I'm already booked solid doing validation scripts.
Oh, no, I'm saying, what are you gonna do for your show tomorrow?
I'm going to come up with something poignant and entertaining to discuss. Yes, poignant. And so
so you're gonna wing it.
We're going to wing it. There's a couple of things to talk about, I'm sure. Geocaching is it's one of those things where you can always come up with something to talk about geocaching or geocachers or stuff.
Sure.
So
it's going to be randomized.
Yeah, episode 7,644.
Episode 1.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So anyways, thank you, fine folks, for considering becoming a patron. Thank you, Scott, for putting me on the spot. And let's move on. Speaking of putting on the spot, to the mailbag.
I got mail. Yay! I got mail. Yay!
As always, guys, you can send your emails to gcpcmailbag@gmail.com, and don't make Scott unhappy, Scott. Send us some emails.
Yeah, no sad Scott.
Right. This is from Randy Barnhart. He says, Groundspeak has dispatched a person, air quote, geocrater, to monitor and archive caches that need maintenance in New Hampshire. His actions have become overzealous in the opinions of many of the veteran caches, means cachers, many veteran cachers in the Granite State. For instance, if a cache has 2 DNFs, he is contacting the owner and requiring maintenance or archive. Many of the new cachers are quick to log a DNF. What if the cache is hard to find?
Like one of Scott's.
Like one of mine. Cockhides all over the place.
Yeah.
It's the cockhide, man. It exists. Have you folks
encouraging people to log DNFs?
Right. Right. They do encourage you. Yeah.
Yep.
Have you folks encountered similar air quote cleanup activities directed by Groundspeak? Note, if you want, go onto Facebook to the Granite State Geocacher page and read a post from Stan Gove. If you want someone to call into your show to discuss, I'm sure some of these folks would be happy to chat. So
sounds like a good rant session to me.
Yeah.
I have not heard of that before. It's like a cleaner. It's like a Groundspeak cleaner.
I've had that happen. We had it happen in Texas. I'm not sure if it was Groundspeak directed or not, but we had a reviewer come in, the West Tex reviewer, come in, and he was doing a similar thing. And to be honest, it needed it, but he was a bit overzealous. And once our individuals were able to talk to him about, he was able to kind of pull back and ease up on the rules for certain caches and put in a little bit of common sense about it. It's like, okay, it's been DNF'd by 2 cachers that have 20 caches between them. It's like that doesn't really count.
Yeah. And by the way,
or it's one that doesn't seem to really go lost, but has a lot of DNF history on it because it's hard to friggin' find because it's a difficulty 5 cache.
Yeah. And I want to clarify the definition of geocrater. That's what happens when I trip when I'm in the woods, and what gets made by my large buttocks hitting the ground is a geocrater. So I'm just saying.
If Andy falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it.
No, everybody can hear it. Yeah, whether they're there or not, they hear it one way or the other.
So if
I've never
here's a funny story. Remember how I think it was last 2 weeks ago when we were talking about I had when I went on the Groundspeak, it said one of my caches, may need maintenance on the front page. But it was and I was saying it's just a cockhide, like because it had 2 DNFs from 2 new. Mm-hmm. Sure enough, I'm like, the next day someone found it.
Yeah.
So it's
2's a bit short for me. If it was like 5, then I can sit there and say, okay, there's some plausibility to it. But a lot of times when they look at that, all they see is 2 DNFs. They don't look to see the experience of the geocacher. And it just gets stamped.
It's all just algorithm. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You can't.
Let's not get on that.
And hey, I mean, there are times that I've found that I've DNF'd one, and somebody with 20 finds has come along later and found it. I mean, all of us have off.
That happens to me all the time. It's like I looked for 30 minutes, I couldn't find it. It's probably there.
Yeah. No doubt.
I look my DNF
like it's
to make
not
the next
there.
finder feel better.
So we got the link to the Granite State cachers in the show notes. We'll have that. All you have to do is go to www.geocachingpodcast.com, and in the show notes for episode 519, we'll have the link to them if you want to check that out.
My bigger question, and I know Taz will have this answer. Why is New Hampshire?
You broke up, Scott. Hey.
Taz, can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. I know Taz is going to know this answer. I know Taz will know it. Why is New Hampshire called the Granite State?
Because it's got a shitload of granite from the Appalachian mountain chain.
Are you assuming, or do you know?
I assume that's why it's called it.
I don't know why. Why is it called the Granite State? I have no idea.
That's what Wikipedia is for.
I figured
Exactly.
I was going to say, is it because it rocks? Or the people are permanently stoned?
They're stoned.
I
New Hampshire
I could come up with
is
worse.
stoned. 24.
New Hampshire is one of about 5 states that I have not been in.
I know you've been everywhere. That's why I figured you would know.
You
You haven't been
a
to New
field trip
Hampshire.
to find out.
Wow, here we
New
go.
Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, I have not been to.
Yeah. New Hampshire's most popular nickname, the Granite State, refers to the extensive granite quarries in the state. Granite is the official state rock of New Hampshire. Thank you, Google.
Taz, you were kind of right. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you,
good.
Randy.
I've heard of state or country flowers. I've heard state or country trees or animals, but I've never heard state or country geology before.
Oh, hey, you got to go with what you got. It's not that big of a state. So
I wonder how Randy knows that GeoCreator was dispatched by Groundspeak, was like part of the Groundspeak Gestapo. For like
reviewer coming in and doing stuff. I'm not quite sure. We may have to have him on and see, because I think that would be an interesting rant session there. So even we had him on for a few minutes just to let them voice their thing and see what's up in New Hampshire anyways, since nobody obviously goes there.
I've never been in New Hampshire.
I have not been in New Hampshire. I've been all over except for that little corner of the country.
A little nugget of it's a little nugget is what it is. A little nugget in the corner. Is it this corner?
Actually, I want to go up there anyways because I got to get some more states. So I'm just, that's how it goes.
And you can drive to it in like a half an hour, can't you?
Pretty much. I think it's one of those things where you have it has like 3 counties.
Like
so you can do the DeLorme.
So a county challenge is nice and easy then.
Yeah. Anywho, yeah, let's move on to the news with Mr. Chad.
The news. We got several stories in the news, so I'm going to try to shorten them up a little bit here.
Yeah,
I'm not going to read through all of them, but the first piece of news is there are 5 new countries added to the souvenir block. We got Argentina from South America, Liechtenstein, that's that small little one between France and Spain, I believe.
Scott, you're letting the
no,
word
that's
like
Andorra.
lick go
Liechtenstein
by.
is near Austria, Switzerland.
Wait, yes, I have a question. I have a question. Taz, you've been to Argentina, haven't you?
I have seen Argentina. I have not actually been in it. So I've seen it from across the water.
Oh, I thought you were there. I'm sorry.
He waved at the glacier.
I waved at it.
Will it? My question being, will it proactively give it to you? I'm assuming it will, but will it?
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. I've gotten China proactively and Bahamas proactively.
Okay.
And Sarah, you said
looked and found out
retroactively.
Retroactive.
So Malta as well, and Malaysia and Namibia.
Oh, Namibia.
So
finally,
Namibia.
Finally,
Namibia. I am so good with words.
Malaysia didn't already have one.
I know Malaysia didn't have one.
Right. And Malta is great.
I got it this time.
I'd like to visit Malta.
I would like a chocolate Malta.
Chocolate Malta is exactly what I was thinking of. and again, I'm very disappointed with all of you letting Liechtenstein get by. I'm just saying.
I'm disappointed you didn't ring the bell on that.
I did. I did. You were too busy blocking it out to let
Sorry,
it
Andy,
kick in.
I'd like to lick her stein. How's that? There you go.
Uh,
There you go.
The question is, what countries are going to be next?
What's left?
WAD.
oh,
Have they
Well,
done
isn't there
Iraq yet?
only
Have they done
one-
Iraq?
There's only two that
Monaco?
isn't allowed. So,
Well, there's
something
only
that
two.
they think ground speaks
there are only
is got
two
us.
where there are no geocaches.
Yeah, there's only two countries that aren't.
What countries don't have geocaches?
North Korea
North Korea's one, and I don't.
and one along the Ivory Coast of Africa. One of those dictator countries over there. Can't remember
that
which
helps.
one.
That narrows it
How does
down.
North Korea not have one? I mean, Cuba's got one.
Yeah.
Are
well,
you
they're-
kidding me? You know, you touch a poster on a wall in North Korea and they kill you.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah,
saying.
can you imagine explaining to your sort of minder that I need to find this box or I need to take a photograph? I don't think it would happen.
Yeah.
Make it a, you know.
They don't let you out of your hotel without a guide.
Expert, yeah.
A virtual. Get a virtual. Come on.
No. Just saying.
Come
Yeah. All part of the fun. What's the next one, Chaz?
The next one is where in the world is Signal the Frog? Well, he's going to be in Australia, apparently. They're having an Australia Day souvenir, Australia Day 2018, which will be January 26th through January 28th of 2018. So if you do go to an event, and I guess that counts for everyone in the world, you get an Australia Day, and you get to throw another shrimp on the Barbie.
Yay.
They don't actually normally have shrimps; they have prawns, and I know that's actually.
I know, but we gotta say it here in America. It's
Yeah,
required.
we don't say prong on the fire. That's something else completely. So I'm just saying.
Just watch what you're doing with your sausages.
Yeah, exactly. Boy, this has been quite the night tonight. The yeah, so I hope with the bottles and bottles of sunscreen that Signal has a good time there down under, because you are coming into a country that's there to kill you.
Is that
As long
that's
as
summertime
he's-
too? Isn't it there? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Flip?
Yeah, it is. As long as they don't. A couple of things. One, as long as he doesn't pretend to be a cane toad, because they're an invasive pest, and the best thing you can do apparently with a cane toad is run it over. So
You don't lick them.
Don't Liechtenstein them.
or whatever turns you on, dear, but no.
Steiner. Steinwein.
That's good.
But
Anyhow.
That's sort of viewed a little bit ambiguously, because it could get very political. But I know a couple of people who are deliberately not caching because they really don't want an Australia Day souvenir.
Huh.
Oh God.
Okay.
Wow.
God, you guys.
Is
really?
this related to frogs or
I'm-
just in general?
Oh,
I'm
New
gonna
Zealand.
get it because it's probably the only way I'll get an Australian souvenir from
Yes.
geocaching.
So they won't cash that day because it's Australia. Because hey, why not New Zealand?
It gets into indigenous rights and not terribly.
Oh. So literally
and that
drags it in
side.
the
So there are
sand.
people who don't celebrate Australia Day.
Wow, that's something.
Oh.
Personally, I think the second Signal gets off the plane, you're going to hear, and this hawk is going to come down and rip him out.
that one hurt Andy. Gonna give him a couple minutes. That was a good hawk, Andy.
Only certain
Meanwhile,
things you can do with this throat at this time.
a snake will have swallowed his right leg.
Yeah, he just be
A
done.
crocodile will have eaten his arm.
Yeah, and then kicked in the face by a kangaroo. So it's just great. Have fun, Clara, Signal. Yeah.
Don't forget the spiders and the dingoes and the
I
scorpions.
mean, yeah, and
the
what's the other one that drops? The
drop bear.
drop bears. Yes, that he's gonna get
drop bear.
nailed by about 6.
I love Australia.
Australia is there to kill you.
Poor Signal, or more importantly, poor Lackey who's wearing the Signal suit.
They'll just find pieces. It'll be great.
God, if he's in a suit in Australia, he's gonna fry.
Oh yeah.
Kind of brutal.
It'll be stinking hot.
Yeah, and 4 koalas, the nicest, cutest little things in the world, are just going to attack his leg.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Anyway.
So what other interesting things you got there, Tez?
Well, they updated the website a bit more to now have the edit cache listings page revamped. So, which includes a number of different things, including waypoints are now integrated into the edit cache listing page. Thank you very much. So, there's no need to visit another web page to add or edit waypoints. Waypoints are now smart, meaning the cache owners won't see waypoints that aren't allowed for their cache type. So you can't try to add blah 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 waypoint into your traditional cache. Yay!
So that's different. So I'm just asking a dumb question. So waypoints are different to, say, parking coordinates or trailhead coordinates on the way.
Well, those are types of waypoints,
right?
So trailhead or parking, or those are great ones for traditionals, but you don't want a virtual waypoint for a traditional cache. So it's really not allowed. So they're kind of getting rid of those on that option if you're on a traditional page.
Huh.
So now attributes are now integrated into the edit cache listings. Maps are more useful. They switched to OpenStreetMaps because apparently they couldn't figure out with Google how to zoom in and out.
Yeah,
but at least they now
really
have the ability to zoom in and out to double check that your placement coordinates are the correct coordinates as opposed to a 10,000 foot level one. Yay. And also
state of Illinois, so that's good. At least I got the right state.
And also they'll show all the waypoints on the map at once.
Yay.
And they even added the ability to show what are the other finals, a 528 feet circle around radius around all the other finals that are around it, except of course the virtuals and puzzle caches.
Yeah, we can't have everything.
The finals for those, unless those finals happen to be exposed. There are some where the finals are exposed.
We keep saying exposed.
I wasn't going to let it
I
go.
was trying to get the D in there. It wasn't quite happening. Cache owners can see if their posted coordinates or waypoints conflict with the others with the red ring of "Don't put your cache here."
Right.
The red ring of "Don't put your cache here." Is that
yes.
the official term of it, Tez, or was that the?
That's the official term of it. Well, that's what I call it when I've been using it for the last 5 years in GCC in CGO.
Otherwise known as off.
So what's funny is I just made really quickly that I just did an event for GeoCaching Day, and so I just went through this whole process, and it was new, and I'm like, oh, this is different, and it was a lot easier. It's very nice. I like it.
That's good.
And there were a couple of people who've really hated it.
Really?
They've been trying to submit ones here, and it's been a real pain and very difficult to edit caches if you've submitted it, and you've got to almost start again.
Wow. Huh.
Well,
you've submitted for review, but it hasn't been officially reviewed yet.
Yeah, because it kind of stores it in there in HTML content, and then you got to figure out how to. If you don't know how to edit HTML, figure out how to edit the HTML content. That was a bit messy for a lot of people until they got around to finally posting the thing and then going back and editing it, change things a bit. What else? The submit for the review process has been simplified, so the cache owners are required to enter a reviewer note when submitting a cache for review. If the cache owner wants to edit a cache that is already submitted for the reviewer, they need to cancel their cache submission. I don't know if that's easier. The cache owner can then resubmit the cache for review and enter a note explaining any changes that they've made. I don't quite like that one. Because me personally, when I do it, I tend to go back and modify and modify and modify until I get things exactly the way I want it.
Right.
And then that typo that you've looked at 15 times before just suddenly jumps up and waves at you, and you've got to go, oh God, I've got to go in and fix that one as well.
So by resubmitting, I wonder if it's only you probably don't have to create a new cache. You just have to kind of take it out of the review process and then edit it and put it back in there. So I think I might have been misinterpreting that. I hope.
Well, let me ask
I
you
hope
this,
I was.
Let me ask you this. You want to resubmit it. Is it then at the end of the line again? Where before all it was is the reviewer's note coming back saying make these changes, and then we'll re-put it in, as opposed to take it out of the process.
It's saying that sounds like it could be.
Yeah.
And it really depends upon your reviewer and how quickly they are able to get through the things. That can be problematic.
Huh. Just a thought.
Wait, Taz, going back to the waypoints, Stephen W 054 in the chat room says, does this mean that waypoints cannot be used to indicate a parking spot for a traditional cache?
No, you for traditional cache, I'm sure that they will allow parking. So parking is a specific waypoint type. I'm sure they'll allow parking coordinates for any of the cache types.
Yeah, I've just noticed something at the bottom, below the waypoints bits. Parking reference and trailhead icons will be shown in brown.
Okay.
As opposed to virtual butts are shown as blue and physical ones shown as green.
Right. I thought it always was that way, though, wasn't it?
It's mainly like pulling out the not having the option for the virtuals on the traditionals. That's probably going to be a major one that gets pulled.
I bet.
I'll see.
I already see a question forming in Andy's mind for the next.
I'm just looking it up to see
the
some
next host questions. What color is the parking coordinate?
Oh yeah. Yes. And what color is signal after he left Australia?
How long it takes?
Virtuals are blue, physicals are green. Parking and trailheads are brown.
Roses are red, virtuals are blue.
Right?
Cherries are red too.
Right?
Yep.
What else?
Very tasty.
Yes.
Anywho.
Okay.
Is that it, Taz? Are you done?
We'll hit
well, there are some other updates as well.
If we run short, we'll hit them.
Well, yeah.
There's a bunch. Check our show notes.
The main thing that was for me is that all event caches from now are compulsorily D1 because they must have a 1-star difficulty rating because it's easy for geocachers to find events.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Size.
As long as they don't force the terrain to be one, because there are some that the terrain isn't one. I did one that was a 1-5 terrain.
Okay.
And for the record, I've been to a couple of events that were very hard to find. I almost didn't find them.
Yeah.
So
really,
I don't know what they're talking about.
Well, there's one that's a fairly high DT rate near me that I'm not going to be able to get to because I'm only a touch grumpy. I'll be away in the South Island. One of my mates has had the souvenirs for New Year, Christmas, New Year,
right?
Last day, first day.
Yeah.
He's got an event to be held to start about as soon as the New Year sort of a signal goes out at the top of one of the local hills. So it's from me, if you drive, it's about an hour, 40 minutes to an hour walk uphill in daylight if you're fit. So it's probably about an
I would just
hour,
wave.
hour
Wave
20
up.
for me.
Scream,
Easy.
sign me in.
And then it's but plus I wouldn't necessarily. Plus, it's not the flattest of and easiest of routes, even taking the slope out of it, sort of bumpy and tree rooty in the rest.
So let me understand.
So getting up
this.
there for midnight.
Let me understand.
I've offered the video call in.
We drop a ball, you shoot a flare. Is that how that works for New Year's? I thought you said
I'm not
that.
sure how they'll probably have it. They'll probably have it toned into the radio and the beeps to mark New Year, or whatever they do.
Well, that's all I could picture when you said they send off a signal besides catapulting signal.
Strapping him into a rocket and shooting him into space. Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
The event Sarah's talking about is a D5T3. Is what she's talking about. Is
you've just looked it up.
GC7FZ1.
Giselle.
I'm sorry. GC7FHZ1. I apologize.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Double cow.
Yeah, I'm not walking up a hill at midnight.
It's the getting down after partying that makes it more fun.
Andy, you just roll.
Yeah,
roll.
Look, there's a geo crater.
Some of the bits down there you roll, you wouldn't be around for ages.
Exactly.
This hill's a little bit more lumpy going down than it was going up.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the.
What makes me smile is I've been out with on numbers runs with the guy who set this. He's actually quite short-sighted, so he's one of the people who uses the GPS to find his caches, and he's like this looking at it.
Oh, he's literally can't see, as opposed to I didn't prepare for that one.
Yeah,
nearsighted.
Yeah, but put him in the but I've also been out and done a couple of night trails and put him in the bush at night.
Hey, now.
And he's a completely different beastie, and he's just so used to walking over that sort of terrain that he knows exactly what he's doing, and I'm stumbling around the place because I suck at night caching.
But he can't see. Or is he like a bat? Can he like sonar at night?
It's echolocation.
It must.
Hey, Scott,
be
Mr. Magoo. Just saying.
What'd you say?
Mr. Magoo.
No, Mr. Magoo is an entirely different cacher in the Wellington region.
It's like Steve Austin. Dun 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 dun.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
And yes, I know the $6 Million Man. Anyways.
Thank you.
Oh, come on. I grew up with that, with Kung Fu Grip. I mean, I'm just saying.
No, those Jack
You
Joe
look at the back of his head, not his eyeball. That's awesome. Come on, I grew up right. I'm sorry?
I thought you were going to say Kung Fu Panda there.
Wrong generation.
Long before.
We're doing bad 70s TV shows.
Bad 70s TV with action figures that you look through a hole through their head.
Right through their eye.
Through their eye for bionic vision. Just saying. We had lots of, and you wonder why we grew up right. Yeah. All right, let's move on to get to tonight's episode. Mr. Scott Berks has been doing this for how many years now?
This is the 9th year.
Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah.
And of course, we're talking about JewCaching Day.
JewCaching Day.
JewCaching. Now, did I spell it right as a J-E-W?
No, you spelled it the anti-Semitic way. You just put JewCaching. That's the...
Is that what it is?
JewCaching Day.
Jew-O.
Yeah, like Geo. Jew-O.
All right.
Play on words, Andy.
I got that. I just sometimes playing with words can lead to other things.
Right?
I'm just saying. Okay, so I fixed it. And anyways, Scott has started this about 90 years ago. And I think this should become an actual official, I think there should be a souvenir and or patch that is made for this particular type of event.
There should absolutely be a souvenir. I don't know how this is.
As long as they don't require you to do 100 caches to get the souvenir, I'm all for it.
That's the way it should be.
Stipulations.
That's the way it should be.
So
And lunch at a Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, let's go through the whole process, Scott. So because there's a whole set of guidelines with this.
No, not a whole set. It's only
there's a bunch.
They're pretty vague guidelines.
Yeah. So what's the basics?
Okay, so it's
geocaching.
It was created in 2009 by wait, was it 2009, 2008? I don't remember. No, 2008. Shit, what 9 years? What does that make it?
That'd be 2009.
Thank you. Me and a cacher named I See It, Ivan Zoot, still caches to this day, good friend of mine. We were two Jews, and he's like, "What are you doing on Christmas Day?" I'm like, "Nothing." You know, what does any Jew do on Christmas Day? He's like, "Come on, dude, let's go caching." I'm like, "We can do that?" He's like, "Yeah, let's do it, man." He's like, "We'll start before the sunrise. We'll go to this place, Aurora, Illinois, where Wayne and Garth were from." Yeah. And he's like, "There's so many, just parking grabs out there." He's like, "We'll just hit them all day." I'm like, "All right, let's do it." So, and that started the tradition of geocaching day. And so some of the rules, there are rules, very vague rules, but obviously the first find must be before the sun rises. That's one of the rules.
I like that.
First find must be before the sun rises. You got to do it in the dark, just so you know you're officially starting the day. Thank you. Christmas music must be playing on the car radio, because this is a car. This is a urban.
It's a traveling event.
What?
It's a traveling event for
this. It is. You are, the whole point of geocaching day is numbers. It's all numbers. The day is all about numbers. You're going for urban power trails. You're going for urban cache bunches. 100 plus is, that's the goal of geocaching day, is 100 plus. You want to find those patches of all of the caches. So, and usually it's urban. You want it to be urban. So you should have Christmas music playing in the car because it's Christmas.
Right.
And the beauty of this day, the whole point of it is, when it's urban, is because everybody is, it's Christmas morning. This is, the sun's rising. It's Christmas morning. Nobody is out. When I say nobody is out. One year in 2010, we went downtown Chicago, and it was a effing ghost town. I was walking down Michigan Avenue, right in the middle of Michigan Avenue, just walking down and grabbing caches. It was amazing. It's just a ghost town, and everything's a ghost town until about 12:30, and then people start going to their families. So you had that whole morning. So all those caches you could get, because there was too many muggles and stuff like that. Those are the caches you want to go for, So one of the other things you have to do. There's very few have tos, but is you have to have an event after 3:00, but before 5:00. You have to have an event. And what that goal is to see how many people you can pull away from their families on Christmas Day. Come to your event. That's the entire goal. And then once they're there, you tell them how bad people they are.
Yes.
For leaving their families.
There's shaming involved. I love it.
Yes.
How dare you leave your families on Christmas Day to go.
The point is to get it right before dinner time, right there in that sweet spot is where you want. So that's one of the things you have to do. You have to have an event. That's why I was saying I was creating an event for geocaching day. And then you end the day with Chinese food, obviously, as typical Jewish fashion.
Absolutely.
After everything's done and the sun goes down. The sun goes down is when the day ends. Obviously, you can keep going if you want, but that's when geocaching day officially ends, when the sun goes down. So it's sun up to sun down. And then usually at the end of the day, you go have Chinese food.
Yeah, it's funny because since we've
Chinese
discussed,
food have to be kosher?
Nope, not at all.
As long as it's Chinese. And there's a reason behind that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's funny because Amy and I, a couple of times, even after, and I hope her folks don't hear this, after you go to a Christmas dinner and it's not exactly filling, let's put it that way, you want to get something to eat in the afternoon or evening because what's open? Nothing except Chinese restaurants.
That's right.
So the past few years, we've ended up on Christmas Day going to a Chinese restaurant. I'm going, look, all of our friends are here. It's great. We think of Scott every time we go to it. It's awesome.
And in 2010, like I was saying, when we went to the city, we went to Chinatown.
Yeah.
For lunch. We figured, we'll go to Chinatown. How can we not go to Chinatown?
Right.
Oh my God. When I say every Jew in Chicago was in Chinatown, every Jew in Chicago, it was standing room only. We had to wait for a table.
Yeah.
In Chinatown.
Yeah.
It was insane.
It's funny too, because they have such a wonderful sense of humor, because I've noticed the tradition is in, unless you get the joke with it, they're wearing, bad sweaters, Christmas sweaters, they're passing gifts, they're doing all that just to have fun. And it's a riot.
Yeah.
It's a riot. I love the sense of humor.
So it's a great day to go caching. I know it sounds funny, and who would ever think of it, even think of it, but it's actually one of the best days to go caching,
Yeah.
And over the past 9 years, I've cached in everything. I have cached in a snowstorm on geocaching day. I've cached in a sleet storm in geocaching day. I've cached in 50-degree weather on geocaching day. I have we've ran the whole gambit of weather for that day. You never know what you're gonna get on that day, but it's one of the best days to cache.
Yeah.
In this day, in all these years I've been caching, which is 10 years next year, there's only really 2 days out of the year I go for 100+ caches. I'm not really a numbers guy. I have
Right.
high numbers, but I don't try for numbers. And that's one is geocaching day, and one is the mega I go to every year up in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Those two, and that's it. Other than that, I don't go for numbers.
All
But
right, I'm
those
gonna
two,
put Chad and Sarah on the spot just because it's fun. Have you ever snuck away on Christmas morning just to find a geocache on Christmas Day?
Hell yes.
I just looked at my profile.
One year.
Go ahead.
Go on, you first.
I just looked at my profile. I have a total of 2 finds on Christmas Day. And I can remember the day that it happened. I remember it was about 79 degrees. So this was obviously in Houston.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful out. And at the second one, I was having a hard time finding it. I call up a friend of mine who's celebrating Christmas with the family, and he's giving me crap. What the heck are you doing geocaching on it? And I couldn't find the cache. And I'm getting eaten up by thorns and stuff. And then when he's explaining it, trying to mansplain me how to use satellites and orient stuff, is like, dude, I am there. Trust me. It's like, oh well, it's hanging on the fence at about this height, and then I finally look at it, and it's like 2 feet in front of my face.
It's waving at you.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sarah, how about yourself?
Well, we have a little thing called summer, and I actually find quite a few on Christmas Day. We usually with my parents are about an hour up the road, and have been known to get on a bike and just go for do a bit of cycling and see what's on the way to find.
Oh yeah.
So I found quite a few there, and sort of a semi-tradition, more on with Paul and me, is that we go for at least a paddle and preferably a swim in the sea on Christmas Day.
Oh, you suck.
It's warm.
Or
Yeah.
that would be polar bearing here.
Yeah, here you'd last about 13 seconds before you implode. So it's
no.
Chad,
hopefully it'll be a nice summer today.
Chad, I'm looking at
last year.
I'm looking at my December 25.
Uh-huh.
I am at exactly 700.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
On Christmas Day. 700.
Wow.
In fact, that literally might be my best day. That might be my busiest day. Yes, it is. My best day is Christmas Day.
That's awesome.
Over 9 years. 700 exactly. Yes.
I don't have a day that breaks 100. I've got several in the 80s.
Oh, I've got a bunch of 100s. I've got a 252. I've got a 205. Oh yeah, I've got.
What? How the hell do you do that?
I don't know. I really don't. I have a 268. I'm seeing 260. No. This is finds for each day of the year. I'm not going one day. This is like on this day, on the 8th of August, total out of the 10 years, I found 250.
Right.
Wow.
You're mad. Hang on. Let's see if I can bring up my stats.
No, 700 on the 25th. So
that's a bunch.
That's my Christmas, man. So that's geocaching day, which everybody should do. You don't have to be Jewish to do it. It's actually a very fun thing to do. If you don't celebrate with your family or you celebrate and you open presents and you're done by 8, go out for a couple hours. You'll be amazed how there's nobody around. Nobody's
You
out.
know, I might
place to have a walk.
I might have to set my alarm this year to get up before the crack of dawn. I always try to sleep in on Christmas Day. It never works.
Right. So why not get up anyway?
Exactly.
So, get up and go grab a cache before the family gets up, and say, "Hey, I did geocaching day." That's geocaching day my way.
I've got 20 finds for Christmas Day over the years. Yeah. So yeah, I can do that.
That's awesome.
That very
You
easily
got the weather to do it, so that's
I know you've got no excuse.
That's almost like cheating.
I've got twice as many finds on leap day.
No, I've only got 3 on that. So
that's funny.
Yes, Andy, how many do you have on Christmas Day?
I'm looking it up now. It looks like I've got about a dozen.
Oh, there you go.
That's not bad. Well, a lot of mine have been not necessarily here because I probably would have been tarred and feathered and a couple of other things. But I remember when I was up in Michigan visiting and getting some raised eyebrows. It's like, what are you doing? I'm going for eggnog. I'll be right back. And actually, one of the ones that I remember was a 12-year-old boy put out a geocache for me, specifically for Headhardhat. Everybody could find it, but he wanted me to get the first to find. So he's like, would you mind going for it? It's going to actually be going live. And it's like, all right, I'm out of here. So yeah, it was great. Found it, had a good time, and found out. And of course, it's like potato chips. Once you start, you can't stop. Sure. So off you go, doing other ones. Next thing you know, you're getting a text on your phone saying, "Where the blank blank are you? We're opening gifts." It's like, I'll be right there. So
yeah, it's just something I've done for 9 years now. Well, this will be the 9th year, and the best part is Jessie, who's not Jewish, but she's gone the past 4 years. This will be her 5th year, and she goes just because she just takes her son just goes with his dad on Christmas morning every year. And so we have then we wait until we have all 3 kids together, and then we do Christmas, which usually like a day or 2 later. Right. So it's nice because Jessie gets to go and gets to experience the whole thing, and and she still gets her Christmas, so it's great.
It's great.
Yeah,
so I think for the folks out in the ether world, if you do a geocaching day, let us know. Send us a note to
shoot me an email.
GeoCaching Podcast. Send it to Scott. Send it to us. If you go to
GCPC.
Send it to GCPC mailbag, and we will we'll keep tallies of all of it. Let us know some of the stuff that you did and how it came out. I would highly recommend you get your event in pretty quick because you only got a couple weeks.
Yeah.
To
a fortnight stand down.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't mean you can't go if you don't get an event, and it's just way more fun if you get an event.
Yeah, it's much more fun to shame the Christian. It's like, how could you? And it's like
we have a cacher here, Saul 69. He's he's got 130,000 caches that he's found. And he's been to all 8.
Yeah,
he's been to all 8 of them. It's amazing. I had one like in Bumble, Illinois, and this mother showed up to it. And he lives in Indiana. and I actually texted him the other day. I'm like, guess what, dude? I'm like, we're going to your wheelhouse. We'll be like 10 minutes from your house. He's like, oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Because we're never in his neighborhood, in terms of like where we go to, but we're just turning out. We're actually hitting a bunch of his caches for geocaching day. I finally routed a route, and like we're finding 80 of his caches are on the list. So
he'll be opening presents and getting ding, 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 ding.
Well, that's when I usually get texts from people like, dude, you're out, huh? How do you know? Yeah, by getting texts.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the best part is that people know you're out. And so they see the caches. I've had people see the caches I'm hitting, and then they start sending me cord stub puzzle caches that are finals.
Oh, neat.
They want so they'll be like, this cache here, here's right by there is a puzzle final. Here's the chords. People are doing that too, which is really nice. So like, oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They get IDTs too. It's even better.
Yeah. I love the holidays. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to do, especially if you're Jewish. If you're Jewish, shame on you. You'd be absolutely doing it.
Yeah.
If you're a Jewish geocacher, absolutely.
And it's also fun to be shamed. I'm just saying. They point the finger. You go, yeah, I'm guilty.
If you can sneak away, God bless.
Yeah,
go for it.
And pass the
I thought it was Catholics that just had the monopoly on shaming.
Oh no.
No.
That's a whole new level.
But Jews?
Yeah, that's
a Jewish mother. Are you kidding me? Oh
yeah,
no, you guys got nothing on Jewish mothers. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Where do you think the Catholics got it?
Jewish mothers are the worst.
Oh, there you go. So, okay, folks, like I said, make sure you send in to us and get those geocaching days booked up for December 25th, and let us know how they turn out. We'd really love to hear that, because I want this to really be an event. I want people all around the world to be doing geocaching day.
By the way, all religious hate mail goes to Scott and Andy.
Yes, please send it to us. You know how to get us on the website. Just let us know. We love everybody.
@gmail.com.
We love it. And if you can't laugh, that's your fault. Just saying.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Good stuff. Well, we want to thank Chad and Sarah and Scott for all the stuff that they do. Thank you, folks. And we like to thank you, fine folks, for stopping by each and every week with the Geocaching Podcast. All right. Have a good one. Have a safe one. And we will see you next week on the Geocaching Podcast. Let's do this. Please be sure to join us each and every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time for another episode of the Geocaching Podcast, right here on the Geocaching Podcast website at www.geocachingpodcast.com/live. The video version of our show is available on YouTube, and the audio version is available on our home website, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and many of your favorite podcatchers. We love hearing from our viewers and listeners, so please visit us through our media sites and contact us via our voicemail line at 630-31-VOICE. The Geocaching Podcast is a Headhardhat production and is produced by Andy Smith, Scott Berks, Chad Courtney, and Sarah T.S. This show is copyright 2017 by Andrew T. Smith. All rights reserved. Okay, before I let you go, I told Scott. Now this is a celebrity on GeoSnippets. This is Chris Moose, and I think this is something. Huh?
Does he make noise?
Oh, he makes noise. You ready for this? Okay, here we go. So let me tweak his arm here.
Fuck off! I'm so.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh.
Yay! It is Christmas.
So is Chris Moose going to make an appearance tomorrow night?
Yes, he is.
You paid money for that?
Yes, I did. That is a tradition that people would have, especially with the GeoSnippets Reboot podcast. There was a whole saga where a couple of years ago, Chris Moose went missing for a season.
He got lost or something.
There was a conspiracy on if what Amy did with Chris Moose and where he ended up.
I'm not sure
there was going to be an investigation. It was going to be some pretty serious stuff. Well, luckily, last year he was found just before the holidays. So
why doesn't she like him?
Huh? It is her bane of existence. She's like, all I have to say is Christmas. She'll do this. It's like, I need an Excedrin. I need it now.
You wake her up to it every morning?
No. It's just for some reason she just doesn't like classy holiday things. Yeah. So,
that brings a whole new definition of class.
Yeah, exactly. And she just does not appreciate the artistic abilities of somebody's armpit. So it's how it is.
Did you name him Chris Moose, or was that the actual name?
No,
on
we actually named him Chris Moose.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like
Did you have him before her? Or did you have them? Did you buy it together?
We actually got that at like a CVS or a Right Way or something like that. Only this is the kind of stuff that you can find at a drugstore
That's
a week
definitely
before
Walgreens
Christmas.
CVS thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
you find all sorts of unusual gifts, and this was one of them. And I mean, he's been a mascot ever since. So, anyways, I thought I'd entertain you fine folks before we let the video go. So, have a good one, folks, and we will see you next week. I may not be here, or Chris Moose may not be here, but the may not be. Have a good one, have a safe one, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Okay.